exploring Jackie Kennedy's New York City apartment. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis had that rare kind of presence, the kind that made people lean in a little closer. Maybe it was her quiet confidence or the way she carried herself with effortless grace. But she wasn't just a first lady, she was an icon in her own right. In this video, we'll go through Jacqueline Kennedy's incredible life and, most importantly, take a closer look at her famous New York City apartment. Born Jacqueline Lee Bouvier on July 28, 1929, in Southampton, New York, Jackie came from a well-off family. Her father worked on Wall Street and her mother was a socialite, so her childhood was filled with the privileges of wealth and culture. She studied at Vassar, spent a year abroad in France, and eventually graduated from George Washington University. It was during these years that her love for art, history, and culture really began to shine. Before her life became a series of headlines, Jackie was a photojournalist for the Washington Times-Herald. Jackie, camera in hand, capturing the world through her lens before the world became captivated by her. In 1953, she married John F. Kennedy, a charismatic senator from Massachusetts. From that point on, her life shifted dramatically. By 1961, she was the First Lady, bringing her own spark to the White House. Her style was impeccable, and she had this unique way of making history and culture feel alive. She even led a massive effort to restore the White House, turning it into a museum of American heritage. If you've ever seen clips of her White House tour, you know she had a way of making even the smallest details fascinating. And for that, she won an Emmy. On November 22, 1963, everything changed. The assassination of President Kennedy marked a turning point not just for the country, but for Jackie as well. Suddenly, she was a young widow with 2 children. In 1968, she married Aristotle Onassis, a Greek shipping magnate. Their marriage offered her some of the protection she longed for, but after his death in 1975, Jackie found her calling in a quieter way. She became a book editor, pouring her energy into projects she cared about, and even leading efforts to save landmarks like Grand Central Terminal in New York City. Jackie's apartment at 1040 Fifth Avenue wasn't just a place to live, it was her escape, her fortress, and her way of getting just a bit of normality after the shattering tragedy. It wasn't just about the address or the views, it was about creating a space where she could shield herself and her children from the relentless spotlight and begin to rebuild their lives. After the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, Jackie became major news. She was constantly in the public eye. She needed a space where she could step away from the never-ending attention, and in 1964, she quietly bought the penthouse for $200,000. It was a small fortune in the 1960s, but for Jackie, it was a place to heal. The location was perfect. Nestled in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, the building offered her the privacy she desperately needed. It was close to Central Park, where she could take her children for walks, and just a stone's throw from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which she loved. Designed by Rosario Candela, one of Manhattan's most famous architects, 1040 Fifth Avenue is the kind of building that stops you in your tracks. Built in 1930, it has that classic pre-war charm. Think limestone and brick, with details so intricate you can't help but stare. It is grand without being flashy, striking the perfect balance between sophistication and gorgeous design. The building itself is priceless, located in the Metropolitan Museum Historic District. With only 27 apartments spread over 17 floors, it was made for people who valued their privacy and exclusivity. People like Jackie. The penthouse was on the 15th floor of the building. Originally designed with 10 rooms, it was renovated into a more open and modern layout. She worked with the celebrated interior designer Billy Baldwin to create a space that blended French elegance with a cozy personal vibe and an easy touch of American modernity. It was the perfect mix she needed for the new chapter in her life. Let's walk into her luxurious home. The grand foyer welcomes you with carefully chosen artworks, family photos, and antique lamps that bathe the space in a soft, inviting glow. Every corner reflected Jackie's sweet tooth for style and beauty, and her ability to create a space that felt both luxurious and lived in. Let's get into the living room, the heart of Jackie's apartment. Sunlight streamed in through the oversized windows, warming the space and highlighting the soft, soothing tones of creams and blues she'd chosen. A beautiful fireplace with a stately mantel anchored the room, surrounded by furniture that was an effortless mix of French antiques and modern pieces. There was also her beautiful collection of Monet and Renoir paintings, which added just the right touch of artistry. The dining room had its own charm. A long mahogany table took center stage, surrounded by chairs covered in luxurious silk. The walls displayed carefully chosen artwork, and in the middle of the table, a vintage candelabrum stood, ready to light up everything from quiet family meals to lively gatherings. Over the years, this space welcomed some incredible people, with guests like Andy Warhol and Truman Capote sitting around the table. Jackie had a gift for making a home not just stylish but welcoming, a place where ideas and laughter flowed effortlessly. Even the kitchen was something to admire. It was designed to be both beautiful and practical, fitted with the best appliances of the time. A butler's pantry made hosting dinner parties a breeze, giving the space a blend of exoticness and functionality that suited Jackie's lifestyle. Right off the kitchen, the breakfast room was a bright and cheerful spot, perfect for relaxed family meals. Sunlight poured in through the windows, giving the space a warm, welcoming feel. There was also a sleek, white cabinetry, ample counter space, polished countertops, and brass fixtures gleaming under soft light. The master suite was the true gem of the house and was complemented by 2 expansive dressing rooms. Albeit there were 5 bedrooms overall, each with an ensuite bathroom. Jackie had a peaceful respite from the bustle of the city thanks to the private balcony that overlooks Central Park. With heirloom furniture and family mementos strewn throughout, the rooms were cozy and intimate, exuding love and warmth. Then there was the library, a room that reflected Jackie's love of books and learning. The mahogany shelves were packed with leather-bound classics, and it was the kind of space that just made you want to sit down with a cup of tea and get lost in a good book. One of the most breathtaking parts of the apartment was the 2 terraces. They offered incredible views of Central Park and the Manhattan skyline, blending the best of city life with a touch of nature. Jackie took pride in these spaces, filling them with potted plants and flowers that she often tended to herself. Gardening became her little escape, a way to find peace and normalcy in the middle of the city. The terraces weren't just beautiful, they were spaces for her to pause, breathe, and enjoy a quiet moment after that turmoil. Moving to 1040 Fifth Avenue was a fresh start for Jackie. It gave her a chance to settle into life after the White House, offering a private space where she could focus on raising Caroline and John Jr., far from the constant spotlight they had faced in Washington. Even though the apartment was grand, it always felt intimate. It was filled with things that mattered to her, family heirlooms, art from her travels, and little treasures that told the story of her life. Jackie didn't keep the apartment just for herself and her family. She used it to host countless gatherings, from quiet dinner parties to musical performances. The home became a space where creativity thrived. Her love of the arts went beyond the pieces on her wall. She regularly invited musicians and performers, using these gatherings to foster creative dialogue and support emerging talent. She called that apartment home for 31 years, until her passing in 1994. Through all the ups and downs, it remained a constant in her life. a place where she balanced her public persona with private moments. When she passed away on May 19, 1994, at the age of 64, people gathered outside 1040 Fifth Avenue to mourn her loss, leaving flowers and candles in tribute to a woman who had faced so much with grace and strength. Today, the building remains one of the most sought-after addresses in New York. Its stunning architecture and rich history continue to draw attention, and Jackie's time there only adds to its allure. Her home is a lasting reminder of her strength and style, a place where she rebuilt her life and made an impact on those around her. The carefully curated rooms and the peaceful terraces told the story of a life that was resilient, thoughtful, and full of purpose. We've reached the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all our latest videos. See you in the next one.